Hi everyone, this is Shamela here. Welcome to my channel. Can you believe it? 2023 is well on its way, guys. Can you believe it? And just like that, the year has started. Soon we'll all be back to work. And with Feb coming up, it's almost Valentine's Day. I thought, let us make a very quick, I hope, a quick Valentine's card. So this is the home page in Design Space, and on the top left hand side here is the three little lines, which is commonly referred to as the burger. If you click on the burger, you get a drop down menu, and that is where you find your canvas. So when I start my cards, I always start with a shape, and this is your menu on the left hand side where you find all your templates, your projects, your shapes, etc. And I normally start off with a square. Now, I find the black very harsh for my eyes. It always defaults to black. On the top here, on the left hand side where it says basic cut, you'll see a black square. And that is where you can change the color of your design. So I'm going to make mine gray. I always work in gray for some reason or other. Now when you choose something, when it's selected, you can see it in the layers tab here. This will be like green, light green color. And there are 4 squares all around your design. When you hover over the one square, it doesn't matter which side, you'll get a straight arrow. This will allow you to resize. So you can pull and push with your mouse and it will resize it for you. It does resize it proportionately. And if you want to change the dimensions of it, you need to go to your sizing here at the top, which gives you the width and the height of something, and there's a little lock there, so you need to uncheck that lock. Now I know I want my card to be 14, I'm sorry, that's the width, 28 wide, and I want the height to be approximately 14, and I'm changing it manually. You can use those little arrows there, top and bottom. And that gives me the size of my card. If I score that in half, it will give me a 14 centimeter square card. Now, for me to find the center of this card, I'm going to add a score line. And the score line comes under the free shapes. I use it a lot. And I'm going to just resize that to 14 as well, so that it is the same height of my card. And next to operation, you see a tab here that says select all. If I select all, right next to it, you've got edit, and then you've got align. If I say center, it's going to put that score line in the middle for me. For the moment, I'm going to group that, so when I move the card around, group function is here on the right, it will stay in place. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose another rectangle, and this one I'm going to make about 10 centimeters, I think. Let me just see if it's big enough. Yes, I think that's fine. And so if I select all, I'm going to align that, and I'm going to align it vertically, which means it's going to put it in place from top to bottom. I am going to eyeball the rest of the placement because I haven't figured out how to do the left and right if it's just a small area, because if I choose center horizontally, it's going to center it in the middle of the card here, and I want it in the middle of just half of the card. So I normally just eyeball that. Let me just make sure it's centered vertically. Right, so we've got that. Now I'm going to select all right at the top here. And what I'm going to do is I want to actually remove that square out of that part of the card so that we can have a frame. I'm going to select my square. So in your layers tab here, you can see, let me just ungroup that. I'm going to select my square, the one square, and I'm going to select the other square, and that will open up the options here at the bottom. And I'm going to slice. Now what slice does is it removes something. Like when you slice a pear, you slice an apple, it slices a piece away from the original. So what I want to do is I want to slice or remove that square out of my original square, and if I click slice, what it is going to do, it will give you that flash, and what you will see on your layers tab is you've got two slice results here. Now if I click on that, it will show me the one, and then the other one is underneath that one. So I don't want to delete it completely. I'm going to keep it just in case I want to use it again. And then right next to that, there's an eye there. So if you click on that eye, there's another eye. It will actually give you the it will hide. The eye hides. If I click on the eye again, it will unhide it. So the eye hides what you don't want to see. And the good thing about that is when you go to make it, it's not going to cut those things. So you can still keep it in your layers tab, but it's not going to cut it. So now my line is now behind my card. And so what I want to do is under the arrange tab, I'm going to say bring it forward so that it can be back there. Now we've got our frame, and I want to add something. Let me just make sure that line is in the center. It is. My square looks a bit off, but okay. I might have moved it slightly, but it's gonna work. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. So let's go to images, and I thought for Valentine's Day, what do we think of when we find Cupid? I thought of just using a Cupid. And for this kind of idea, it's always better to just get solid stuff so that it works a lot quicker and easier. And then let's choose Heart Trio, because I saw a heart here earlier that I thought would work. It is that one. And so I'm going to add those to my canvas. It will automatically group those things when it comes into Design Space on your canvas. So just click away and then you can choose them separately. So I've got these hearts, but I know this is going to give me grief. So I want to take them away. I don't want to cut that. I just want the 3 hearts to cut out. Now there's an option called the contour tool at the bottom here on the right hand side. And if you click on contour, it will show you where all the cuts are. So I want to remove these small cuts, and if you look at this area here, these will gray out slightly when you choose them. So all those little bubbles or circles, I want to remove them, so I don't want to cut it. And now in the hearts, when you come back to your main screen, you can see that they have been removed. I'm going to just make that a bit smaller because I first want to work with Cupid here. So if I put Cupid in the middle of my card here now, I can see that I need what I want to do. Let me explain to you what I want to do. I want to actually attach Cupid to that card front, so when it cuts out, it will cut out all together. And to do that, we need to make sure that all the elements of the design is touching the 4 sides of your frame. Now let me see. If I move him slightly, I think that is going to work. Let's see. Yeah, I think that will work. And then I want to put the hearts in here somewhere so that it's not just like a dead blank space there. So I'm just going to make these hearts slightly bigger. And what they need to do is they need to touch a few elements of the design so that it's not a loose heart, because it needs to attach to Cupid and it needs to attach to the side of your card. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to uncheck that lock and stretch it just a tiny bit to the right. I don't want to stretch it too much because I don't want to lose too much of the proportion of the design. And if I click away, I can see that they are all touching. So if I select everything, my combine function opens up here, and if I click on it and I say unite, it will put all those elements together. I hope that makes some sense. Now I have lost my my score line, which is fine. I can always put it back again. The next thing I want to do is I want to put some words, and I'm actually thinking that Cupid's head is lost over there. Eh? What do you think? Let's just undo that quickly. I actually think, just give me 1 second. I want to make his head slightly smaller. Shift him up a little bit. Let's see, touching. And select all. Let me just check now if I say unite. You see, if I look at that, that is going to give me a tiny cut there. So I don't want that tiny cut. Let me just move him up so we get rid of that cut altogether. Select all, combine, unite. Still giving me a tiny cut. Come on, man, Cupid, work with me. Combine, unite. There we go. And now it's giving me a tiny cut here. You know, let me see. I don't want that tiny cut there. I'm going to move Cupid slightly to the left. Regrettably, you're going to have to play with this like a little bit so that... And I'm unchecking the lock because I just want to stretch him a tiny bit to the right. Not too much so that we don't lose too much of the design. If you move it disproportionately too much, then you lose the overall design. Let's see now. Combine, unite. I still got a small piece there. I'm gonna move it once more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And I want to see that that is a little heart that Cupid is shooting there. Let's see, unite. Okay, I think that's much better. I think I like that. Okay, so let's just put our score line back. And select all, align, center, so that we can see where the middle of the card is. And I'm going to group that so that if I move stuff around, it stays there. And the group function is right here under the layers option. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some words in. So if I say Happy Valentine's Day. Now, what you have to remember is that the fonts will always default to Cricut Sans. You can change it, however. So there's the font option, and if you click on fonts, you get lots of, they changed this recently, there's lots of fonts here. So you can also get different tabs, like you can go into fashion, which will give you fashion. You can go into flourishes. Oh, that's cool. That is so cool. How about we have a look at that one and see how it works. The nice thing about this is I can move this and I can see what the font looks like. So let's just go back there and see the other one. That's cool. Delicate. What does delicate give us? Oh, that's very pretty. I think I like that one. Oops, let's choose the words, not the card. So, we need to resize this so that it fits in there. And this I'm just eyeballing so that it kind of fits in the middle of the card. And then I also want to add some text on Cupid's wing. Yeah, let's see if that works. Oh, come on, work with me. Shall we turn it? So remember I said you can turn things. Did I say? I can't remember. So when you open up something and you find your boxes around it, you can stretch it and resize it, but you can also turn it. So if you hover slightly away from that box, it gives you a little bit of a curved arrow. So maybe, what do you think? Must we put it here? Let's choose it in the layers tab. That can work. Oh, I think that's cute. That is cute. Right, so sorry about that. We got interrupted there. And now I've got my words, but remember I said I want to write them instead of cut. So I'm choosing the word love you. Under operations, you can change your options here. So I'm going to choose pen, and then right next to the pen option is another block. It changes to automatically to black, but there should be a drop down menu here. So I'm just going to use my fine point pen, but you can choose different options here for different pens if you've got the extra fine, if you've got the gel pens, etc. And then I'm going to choose red because I want to write that out in red. And then I'm going to choose the Happy Valentine's Day option, and I'm just checking it in my layers tab. Also going to make that into a pen, and I'm also going to change the color to red. Now what will happen here is if you go make it right now, Design Space has been designed to automatically put everything onto all different colors onto different mats, and that is what will happen. My score line is going to go on one mat because it's black, my card will go onto one mat because it's gray, and the words will go onto another mat because it's red. Now, to tell Design Space that you actually want to hold all those things together, you want to keep them together, you want them to remain exactly in place, I'm going to select all, and then at the bottom here your combine and your attach function will open up, and I'm going to choose attach, and you'll see attach is like a little paper clip, and what that does is it will tell Design Space that you want everything to remain exactly where they are. So if I go make it right now, it's gonna keep everything together. It's not going to move onto separate mats. And if I go continue, I don't have my machine attached right now. I'm going to do that in the next option. Oh, I've got the joy selected. So let me just cancel that and say yes, because it will not cut on my maker if I have my joy selected here. Okay, I do have maker selected, so if I can go make it. That is if you have more than one machine, you need to make sure that you have the right machine selected on your canvas. It won't change here. So now I need to attach my machine so that it can find it. And give me a moment, I'm going to do that, and then I will come back to you. Finally back. It's taken me 3 days to get back to this. My apologies for the delay, but we're still in time for Valentine's Day. So we are now going to make it, and it will be on our canvas. You can see that the red words have stayed in place exactly where they're supposed to. We've got a score line here, and I'm going to say continue, and it will say connect your machine. So we're just waiting for the machine to connect, and at this point you need to choose which kind of cardstock you're using. I'm just going to choose the heavy cardstock option. And now we need to edit our tools. Now many of you don't have a scoring tool, but you can use your stylus, and I'm just going to show you how to do that quickly. So you edit your tools, and under the tool options you will choose the scoring stylus. I will now say apply, and the software is now aware that I'm going to be using my stylus. I'm going to be using a fine point blade, and coming up is my red 0.4 pen. I'm going to flip the camera now and show you what the machine is doing, so we can see what happens when we load our mat. Okay, you can see our load mat is flashing now, and I have already loaded my mat with a piece of white card. When you're loading your mat, always make sure that the mat is aligned in between these two tabs, and I'm going to click load, and the machine is going to check whether the mat is big enough for the project that I'm using. The play button has started flashing, but what I need to do is, remember I said I'm going to use my stylus, so we need to load the stylus, and it's really very easy. Let me just get to the side. All you do is you open that up. It's got a little arrow. You cannot go wrong. You hear the click. Listen, there's the click, and you close that up again. So what it's going to do now is it is first going to do my score. So let's, excuse me, that's my hubby sneezing in the background there. I don't know if you can hear it. And so we're going to go click the Cricut button. I'm using my Maker today. So it has a Cricut button. The Maker 3 has a play button. And while that is happening, you will see on the screen that is saying finalizing, and it is now scoring. That is done. The machine is now saying set up for the next step, which means we now have to load our red pen, and I've got my red pen here. Let me see, am I in shot? So that is the number 0.4 red pen. I'm just going to load it, and the red pen goes into the same slot where the stylus is in. So I'm taking my stylus out, I'm popping in my red pen, waiting for the click and shutting that. And now our play button is flashing again, and we shall press that. So what the machine will do now is do all the writing that is required. And on our screen, you will see that it gives you progressively a percentage as to how far the machine is with whatever action it is performing. I might speed up this part of the video. Okay, the writing is all done, and if you heard that little whir in the background, you know that the machine is actually looking for the next function, which is looking for the blade, and it is now cutting out our design. just like that, it looks like our card is done. So I'm going to, the unload mat button is now flashing. So I'm going to unload the mat and then I'll come back to you. Hi everyone, so I'm back and my machine, my Cricut Maker, has scored. It has written out the words love you and happy Valentine's Day, and it has cut. So I thought I would just show you quickly how I remove my designs from the mat. And basically all you do is you fold it over and remove it. Sorry, that's my husband screaming in the background there. There's grandchildren's about. And it's cut. Just need to pop everything out. Sorry, I've got the camera in the middle of my face, so I'm just raising it so I can see what I'm doing. There's a little bit of a delicate area here, right over here, and I don't want to break anything. And there we go, all cut out. Just want to move all the little bits out of the way. So what I normally do is, I just want to put it back on the mat to see if I can see that score line a bit better. Yes. So what I normally do is, I can now see the score line there, and I'm going to line it up with one of the lines on the Cricut mat so that I can see where it is, and I can now line up my ruler with that line and then just give it a quick, just give it some help to fold that score line. And once we've got that, we can fold it over and just burnish that line really nicely. If you do not have a bone folder, it is really one of the essential tools for crafting. You can also use your little Cricut spatula thing. And there we go. I am going to add a piece of red card to the background here, and then I will post a picture of it on the cover of this video. I hope this was useful, and there are all my bits and pieces, and that you found the tutorial informative. If you are keen to see more, just leave me a comment in the comments below and we can make some more of these. And that is it from me. Until next time, see you in cyberspace. Bye now.